A major international crisis is much more likely in Donald Trump's second term given the president-elect's inability to focus on foreign policy. A former U.S. ambassador to the United Nations (UN) has warned. John Bolton, who at 17 months was Trump's longest-serving national security advisor, delivered a scathing critique of his lack of knowledge, interest in facts, or coherent strategy. He described Trump's decision-making driven by personal relationships and neuron flashes rather than a deep understanding of national interests. Bolton also dismissed Trump's claims during this year's election campaign that only he could prevent a third world war while bringing a swift end to the conflicts in Gaza and Ukraine. It's typical Trump. It's all braggadocio, Bolton told The Guardian. The world is more dangerous than when he was president before. The only real crisis we had was COVID, which is a long-term crisis, and not against a particular foreign power, but against a pandemic. But the risk of an international crisis of the 19th century variety is much more likely in a second Trump term. Given Trump's inability to focus on coherent decision-making, I'm very worried about how that might look. Bolton, 76, is a longtime foreign policy hardliner who supported the 2003 invasion of Iraq and has called for U.S. military action against Iran, North Korea, and other countries over their attempts to build or procure nuclear, chemical, or biological weapons. He was George W. Bush's UN ambassador for 16 months after serving as a State Department arms negotiator and in the administrations of Ronald Reagan and George H.W. Bush. Bolton was Trump's national security advisor from April 2018 to September 2019. Bolton recalled, "What I believed was that, like every American president before him, the weight of the responsibilities, certainly in national security, the gravity of the issues that he was confronting, the consequences of his decisions, would discipline his thinking in a way that would produce serious outcomes. It turned out I was wrong. By the time I got there, a lot of patterns of behavior had already been set that were never changed, and it could well be, even if I had been there earlier, I couldn't have affected it. But it was clear pretty soon after I got there that intellectual discipline wasn't in the Trump vocabulary." In a sharp departure from traditional U.S. foreign policy, Trump has campaigned under an America First banner advocating isolationism, non-interventionism, and trade protectionism, including significant tariffs. Bolton agreed with a lot of Trump's decisions during his first term, but found they had all the coherence of a series of neuron flashes. He said, "He doesn't have a philosophy, doesn't do policy, as we understand that. He doesn't have a national security strategy." I said in my book his decisions are like an archipelago of dots. You can try and draw lines between them, but even he can't draw lines between them. You try and incrementally get one right decision after another. At least that's what his advisors thought, that we could string enough decisions together. But that's not the way he looked at it. The 45th president could be charming, Bolton acknowledged, and placed an emphasis on personal relations with autocrats such as Xi Jinping of China, Kim Jong-un of North Korea, and Russia's Vladimir Putin. But he lacked the competence required for the job and showed a blatant disregard for the national security briefing that presidents receive daily. He doesn't know much about foreign policy. He's not a big reader. He reads newspapers from time to time, but briefing papers are almost never read because he doesn't think they're important. He doesn't think these facts are important. He thinks he looks the other guy across the table in the eye and they make a deal, and that's what's important. Trump believes he has a friendship with Putin, Bolton added. I don't know what Putin thinks his relationship is with Trump, but he believes he knows how to play Trump. That Trump's an easy mark. Trump doesn't see that at all. If you put everything on the basis of personal relations, and you don't understand how the person you're talking about on the other side views you, that's a real lack of situational awareness that can only cause trouble.